What's up, guys? Knows Hoops back today with another video, and today I am talking about the Atlanta Hawks, who honestly have done a lot better than I expected coming into this year. I thought this team was going to be very bad, but they're 19-19, they're 16th in offense, 20th in defense, and quite frankly, they have overperformed relative to my expectations. So, before we get into why this Atlanta team has somewhat overperformed and what they can do next, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Just because we hit 1K does not mean the journey ends. Just the beginning of a new chapter. And let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about was Jalen Johnson, who's averaging 20, 10, and 5 on 51 from the field, 33 from 3, 75 from the line. Jalen Johnson has just fully emerged to not this being his team per se, but I mean, man, like the way that he's able to play off of Trae is really good. And the way that he's able to then facilitate for others is remarkable, right? Like even here, right, he fakes the pass, he gets hero on him, bumps into him, goes up to get the lay, and is able to just consistently fight for the board, right? And again, just using that frame. And again, now he gets Jovic, slows it down, turns around. Right now he has some options. He can pass it, he can wait, he gets his shoulder down into him, and gets a nice bump, which I like because again, when you have someone like Trae Young who doesn't necessarily play that kind of physical basketball, and a lot of your other ball handlers are perimeter guys, you know, wanting to shoot it. To have someone that likes to go downhill like Jalen Johnson, I think is very important. So again, I like the aggression he'll get, right? So he'll get here, he got here on the post, gets the double, and instead, right, just spins away from the double. So the guy can't come over to help all the way, and just gets a nice little hook right over hero. And he can still shoot it, right? Like, you can't leave him open. I love this pump, right? Because there's two things that happen here. Hodges stops because there's also a chance he could have kicked it out there to Garrison. I believe that's Garrison Matthews. And then he'll just continue to drive here, easy lay, and one, right? Like, Jalen Johnson is a really, really smart ball handler in terms of how and when he's going to move. And I think that's important because, again, when you have someone like Trae Young, it's important to allow this, you know, to allow the team to have something that's easy to create, right? Even here, Jalen Johnson does a great job off the ball, right? He'll go, okay, and he'll flash, he'll go, I got it, because Bam's got to come over. He'll just float it right over Bam, right? And I think that, again, the basketball IQ of Jalen Johnson is very important. And I love here, he'll get downhill, he gets between the two players, and gets a little shot off, right? That's, again, like his manipulation of his body and athleticism is really good. And again, he'll just fill in the cracks that he needs to be able to help this team get even farther. So I think his emergence as just a sheer scorer alone, and then, you know, his playmaking and passing on top of that is really important. And then we're going to get into what I've called the emerging / hidden gems of this team. So the first guy I want to talk about is actually a player that's been on this team for, I think, almost the entirety of the Trae Young era, Deandre Hunter. Deandre Hunter is someone who, you know, I've talked about it in interviews and stuff before, and, you know, just different conversations. A player that I sort of thought the Hawks were going to have to get ready to move on from. He's proven me wrong. Hunter's averaging 19, 4, and 2, now 48 from the field, 43 from 3 on 6 attempts. So that's an elite, you know, shooting mark. Like, that is no, you know, slouch. And then 86 from the line. And again, like, I think him emerging, DeAndre emerging as a scorer, you know, a third to fourth option every night with Trae Young is incredibly important. And again, right, he can just hit that jab, and his shot is so fluid. Right now, I'm not necessarily the highest on him in terms of just sheer self-creation, right? So they run the little pin down action into the staggered screen, and then he can get you a little pull-up shot like that. Like, I think if you don't make him have to create everything by himself, I think he's more than good enough, right? And then he gets a Kongwu, and then, you know, again, does a great job of forcing Ty Jerome to have to, you know, bite on that little pump move to get him going downhill. And again, you see him just, this is just incredibly smart, right? He just slowly lurks and waits because now Jarrett Allen is up at the level. Can't get there in time. Easy up and in from Trae, right? I think that's important. And I love, too, Bogdanovich does a good job here of signaling, hey, I got it. And so then he does a great job sending the screen to Okoro for the easy catch and shoot. So I think ultimately what Trae Young, or not Trae Young, my apologies, what Deandre Hunter has been able to do in terms of diversifying his game has really helped this team, because now Jalen Johnson can be your guy that is explicitly there to go downhill, right, and attack, and he can still shoot it a little bit. Now you have DeAndre Hunter, along with someone like a Bogdanovich, who can shoot the lights out for you, but still get into the mid-range game a little bit, diversify the Hawks and their shooting profile, while not even necessarily starting all of these games. I think it's really important what he's been able to do. And now let's talk about the other major player, Dyson Daniels. So Dyson Daniels, obviously acquired from the trade for DeJounte Murray, is averaging 13, 5, and 4 on 45 from the field, 32 from 3, 59 from the line, which is atrocious, with 4 stocks, steals, and blocks. And to let you know, he has 3.1 steals a game, which is leading the league, which is just absolute insanity to see, right? So you're even going to see it here. Dyson Daniels does a great job of running into Randall, picking off the ball, and then going to create, which I think is important, because while this team's defense is 20th, I think it would be even lower if it wasn't for Dyson Daniels. Or like an Nneka Okongwu, right? Daniels does a great job of even helping out his big here, right? Because when Okongwu first goes up, or not Okongwu, my apologies, Capella, Gobert comes back down, but you see Dyson automatically swipe up at it, which forces and helps Capella try and get the ball out of bounds. Gobert tries to kick it in, and then again, there's Dyson Daniels to help push the ball to the other side. And I love this screen navigation here. So it's obvious and clear, right? They're running this pick action, similar to what the Hawks did, right? We just saw it a few plays ago with Jalen Johnson. He'll kind of, they'll run almost like a football center, right? Like, okay, I'll set this screen / stop this guy from coming in. Daniels does a good job of navigating under it. And then in a quick enough time, in part due to Conley's not so great pass, intercept the ball. And again, I think in a way, it's what sort of people thought and / hoped DeJounte Murray was going to be. Obviously, DeJounte Murray is a better player than Dyson Daniels. But next to Trae Young, Dyson Daniels works far better for this team. I think because, again, he can focus on his defense. He doesn't need the ball as much. He can let Trae Young be Trae Young, and he'll still provide for you this elite level of perimeter defense, which I think is going to be more than important for this Hawks team if they want to actually try and make the playoffs / get out of this perennial play-in picture. And of course, finally, we have to talk about the star of the team, Trae Young, who's averaging 23, 12, and 3 on 40 from the field, which is not very good. 34 from 3 on 8 a game, which is not very good to arguably bad. And then 87% from the line. Trae Young is leading the league in assists at the moment, which is obscene, with 12 assists. Is crazy. He's had 3 games with 20-plus assists. It's ridiculous what Trae Young can do. Right. This is a beautiful pass to Jalen Johnson, who will then just kind of roll. Now, again, whether or not you want to get into how valid all these assists are, all of our favorite players who average any sort of assists, you can look at and will have similar, like, okay, is this guy really is that really his assist? I love this, by the way. So since he gets AD stuck on him, he wants to keep him on the perimeter. So he does the shot, the pump fake, kicks it into Capella, who can then just back down, Gabe Vincent and just roll to the rim. And again, he goes, okay, Dyson, let's run this little guard screen action. Does a great job of navigating, slips under, but then Rui leaves the gap. So the second this gap appears and Gabe Vincent can't get his foot or his hand out there, beautiful bounce pass by Trae Young to immediately go ahead and float it up, which I think has been important. Now, I do still have concerns. I do not think this team is good enough with Trae Young as your best player. Not to hate. But again, I just think, unfortunately, it's the matter of the situation. I think, however, if Jalen Johnson can continue to ascend, and maybe get to like 25 points a game, 6-7 assists, maybe then they can have Trae as their second to third option. But I think ultimately, right, like the scoring output isn't even what it used to be. The efficiency of the scoring output certainly isn't what it used to be. And by the way, but he'll still hit some crazy passes like this. Like, this is an insane pass, right? You got Aneka, D'Lo's on him. He puts his hand out okay, Trae immediately reads it. I'll throw it so that he has to turn outward, right? Because he wants to, he threw his hand out. And then he can just immediately just go, okay, that's an easy dunk, right? The ability for Trae to create for others just so seamlessly through his passing is so important, right? Even in this chaos, right? You see a Kongwu slip over. Rui slip in communication, can't get over to Bogdanovic in time. Trae Young immediately recognizes that and acts on it, right? And again, even here, gets the screen action. Just back out to Bogdan. Like, I think so many of these assists are easy, but not a lot of players make the easy assist sometimes. I'm going to just be real. Like, let's just be honest, right? It's easy to discredit a guy when they're having a low efficiency output or they're on a 19-19 team. But, like, passes like that, not everyone's making that pass. There's not. Right? Trae Young is one of the better passers in the game. And I think what he's been able to do for this team has been nothing but impressive. But I think the problem is now we clearly see that scoring output is just limited. It's the three ball. He's not good enough / consistent enough to shoot as much as he does. And when you shoot about like 16 or 17 shots a game and half of them are threes and you're only 34%, you're also hurting the team. I think this team ultimately should probably still eye a rebuild, but that's hard to say because you have a Trae Young and you're not necessarily probably going to get anything back that's worth it. And Jalen Johnson's emerging. And the last time you made a little trade, I mean, you got Dyson Daniels, right? Deandre Hunter's finally starting to pan out. Let me know what you guys think down below. Should this Hawks team look to rebuild and just shop everybody outside of Jalen Johnson maybe? Or do you think this team should try and just keep going and see if they could get the little pieces that can add up to a deep playoff run? As always, guys, this was Hoops. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Have a beautiful rest of your day, guys. Peace out.